How you doing? Duff here. And you're like thinking to yourself, Duff, another EUC? You didn't say anything about an EUC. What's going on? Well, I wish I was that crafty, but maybe this will give you a hint. You open it this way. No, it's not an EUC or any other personal electric vehicle. It is another 3D printer. All right, let's get rid of that. And let's show you what comes in the box here. You have the base, which has the system board and the hotbed. And then you have the gantry pre-assembled, like 90% basically. This basically looks like a bigger version of my AnyCubic i3 Megas, which for a long time were my go-to printers for pretty much everything. I've printed, you know, hundreds if not thousands of hours of stuff on my i3 Megas. So what this is basically a bigger version of that printer. I believe the build surface is something like 300 by 300 by maybe 305 tall. Don't quote me on those numbers, but somewhere around there. So I thought, because I remember, you know, for a long time I thought, man, I love the i3 Mega. I just wish it was in a bigger format. Now it's in a bigger format. So I decided to pull the trigger. So what you have inside, base model, gantry, and the customary AnyCubic throw-ins, spare hot end, tools, gloves, USB cable, SD card, a spare sensor. AnyCubic does a nice job of providing you extra stuff. Probably about as good of a job as Prusa does, actually. It's pretty close. So I'm so confident that I know how to build this thing that I don't think I even need to look at the instructions, which might be a big mistake. Always, always, always verify that the power selector on your printer is set to the appropriate voltage. In North America, you want that to be 110 volts. If you hook it up and it's at 220, you might have a bad day. Okay, to install the gantry, first of all, make sure that your extruder and the motors are facing towards the back. And there's 4 bolts for each side. So it takes a little bit of patience to get them lined up, but all you gotta do is attach your 4 bolts. Patience. Come on. Once you get one started, the rest come much easier. So we're just gonna put them in loose at first so we get everything lined up. And then we will come back through and torque everything. Sounds like a plan. Okay, I've got all the bolts on the side started. We're just going around and tightening them up. Oh, I'm still recording. Hi. Still haven't decided where I'm going to be putting this in my my build area. I just removed the one i3 Mega that was underneath there. I'm going to be, I believe, giving that to Katie and Daniel, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be moving perhaps the Mini down to there, because the Max, the AnyCubic Max is too big to fit under there, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to rearrange things, but we will be doing some rearranging. All right, next up we are installing the filament sensor. I mean, really, this, at least so far, this is just basically everything is identical to what I'm used to doing on the i3 Megas. It's just a larger frame, but otherwise everything so far has been pretty much the same. So when you're installing the filament sensor, obviously, all you got to really do is look at the arrow. It shows you the direction of the filament, so you have to put it this way. And you actually have to take out the 2 screws that are already in there and then redeploy them to mount the frame, or to mount it back on the frame. All right, now we are installing the filament holder. Again, you are taking out 2 screws that you will be Actually, you only have to loosen them. You don't even have to take them out. Just to back them out enough that this can slide underneath. It goes like this. Okay. I'm just debating that we have this right. Do we have this right? Yeah, I'm just looking at that angle there. Yeah, that has to be right. All right. So now there's 2 small screws to attach the rest to the frame here. Okay, just attaching the bracket here. I'm pretty close to done, to be honest with you. Okay, good to go. All right. So we need to attach the cables without knocking over your electric unicycle. That would be bad. All right. So the good news is they're all color coordinated, and they're different sizes. So it's really hard to mess it up. So I'm gonna do black first. I need better lighting. We're gonna do black first, and we're gonna push it in the right way. Maybe that would probably work better. There we go. Little tab goes up top. Green is next. Trying to hold this between my legs while I'm doing this is really some A+ camera work here. Very well thought out ahead of time. All right, there we go. Green in and red. Okay, this small one is for your filament sensor. So that gets popped in right down here, like that. And then the red one comes underneath, I believe, somewhere. Okay, so yeah, the red was it was hiding from me right under there. So just plug that sucker in. Make sure they're firmly seated. There we go. And that should more or less be the assembly process. So now we just have to go through the setup process. So let's bring you over here. You're sitting on my Prusa MK3 right now. All right, so let's turn it this way. As you can see, all this extra stuff here on the table, this is all stuff that's included with your i3 Max. They really do provide you with lots of stuff. All right. Okay, I'm gonna remove the protective sheet. This piece of paper, normally I keep these. This is a really good paper to do your leveling with. So I would recommend you hold on to this. Like the i3 Megas, this features the AnyCubic Ultra Base, which I've had really good luck with. Basically, as it heats up, the pores on it expand and it makes it grab onto the print. And then once the bed cools down, those pores close, and it makes it very easy to remove. So often it'll just pop right off. I love this surface. I have heard of some people having issues with it, but I'm not quite sure why, because this worked great for me. All right, let's plug in here. And I'm plugging into my EUC charging arrangement. Not ideal, but this is just for setup. Okay, so let's cross our fingers, turn it on, and see what happens. Oh wow, that's new. You get like a fancy animation when it turns on. That's the CR10S Pro does something very similar to that. Okay, well, all right. So the menu looks similar, but you can tell it's an updated UI. Definitely looks cooler for sure. All right, so let's put the included SD in. First thing I need to do is level it. So let's see if anything different happened with the leveling. Oh wow, this is definitely different. I don't know that I need all these sound effects, but that's all right, I guess. Let's see if it homes first, because that's important. So it should home the X, Y, and Z axis. And once it does this, then we will be doing our leveling process. All right, are we homed? Okay, I think we are. All right, so now we need to disable the motors. Let's see, how do you do that, I wonder? All right, there we go. Motors are off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our handy dandy piece of paper. We're gonna put it underneath the nozzle and You basically are going to be adjusting these knobs on the bottom here. Left, when you turn the knob left, it makes less space. That's the way I always remember it. Left means less. If you turn the knob to the left, you get less space between the print head and the bed. If you turn it to the right, you get more. So I'm going to be turning this knob until I just start to feel some drag on the paper. Okay, like that. So now I'm going to go to the next corner, the front right corner, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. Some printers like the Prusa have auto leveling, has a sensor that helps you with leveling. This does not, at least that I see, which is okay. I mean, manually leveling, as long as it stays level, once you level it, it's not that big of a deal. At least to me, it's not. And with my i3 Megas, you know, once I do the initial leveling, they're usually good to go for quite a while. I don't have to usually touch them much, so I'm hoping it's the same case with this. Usually you need to go through this more than once. You have to do the four corners more than once, because when you adjust down on one side, it can sometimes throw it off on another side. So it's always a good idea to at least go through the corners twice and then do the middle at the end. Nope, I see, like right there, has a little bit of a grind on the bed, so we would need more space, so we go to the right. Yeah, you definitely want to be careful here. All right, so that's, okay. Yeah, you don't want to just slam it from one side to the other. All right, so now we got a little bit too much on this side. This printer was very affordable, by the way. For a large format printer, it was normally $3.99, and AnyCubic was running a special, $50 off, so I got it for $3.49. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. Considering, I think when I got my first i3 Megas, I think they were right around $2.99, so yeah, pretty good. Yes, yeah, you definitely have to go through this more than once, because I'm definitely getting some different results the second time through here. Okay. The adjustment knobs on here are nice and big. They're not wobbly like sometimes you'll run into with certain printers. It's been a little challenging here. Leveling a printer is something that's kind of an acquired skill. Some people have done it so much they can just eyeball. They don't even need like a piece of paper or a feeler gauge to do it. They can just kind of eyeball it. And my eyeball tells me that's not too bad. So let's go to the middle, see how the middle is. Middle seems a little high, but it might be okay. It might be okay. So the best thing to do now is to load some filament. I happen to have some already started Prusament PLA, so we are going to go that route. There is a 1 kilogram spool of filament that's included with the AnyCubic Max, but this is typically not real great quality stuff, so I'm just gonna do my first test here with this. Although black is not ideal, because it's kind of hard to see what sort of print you're getting when it's black, but we're going to try it anyways. All right, so we need to preheat the nozzle. Let's see how that looks. Tools, preheat, filament in, okay. All right, so what it's going to do is it's going to heat up the hot end. And I don't know, are we even recording right now? Hope so. All right, while that's heating up, I'm going to load the filament. I went through the filament sensor, and then there's a little hole under here. And this is another acquired skill, especially with Bowden tube printers, as far as getting the filament lined up right. There you go, it's lined up. I'm putting pressure on this handle here. I'm raising the Z-axis just so I have some room to push some filament out here. So we are going to try to start feeding some filament. And if things work as we hope, we're going to start seeing some come out the hot end. Like that. Okay, there goes the white. That's the white that they do the test print at the factory with. You notice that this, okay, we can stop it. You'll notice the AnyCubic Max does come with a silicone boot for the hot end, which is nice. All right, so we are extruding. So now, usually, it's cool. We're doing cooling. When you say cooling, that means stop all the heaters, stop the bed heater, stop the heater for the hot end. And you can get a look at this funky UI here. All right, so we're gonna go home. Nope, we don't want to do that. what I want to do is print the owls. This is something that's included on the SD card from AnyCubic. We're going to try to print the owls and see what happens. And I'll be back when it's ready to go. It's interesting behavior, but it could just be something with the way that this file is coded, but it actually started to print before the bed got up to the rated temperature. You know, it's supposed to get up to 50 degrees Celsius. It was only in the high 30s, and it started to print already, so that's kind of interesting, right? Seems like it's doing okay. We're gonna let this go for a little while, and we'll be back. We'll see what the end result is. Okay, we're a couple days later. As you can see, I've found a way to cram the AnyCubic X onto my workbench here. It's not ideal, but I think there's going to be some rearranging that goes on in this room to better accommodate my needs, you know, in the next couple weeks. So hopefully it'll look a little more organized at that point. But as you can see, it's up and printing. I have had some issues. I cleaned the bed initially with 90% isopropyl alcohol, and I had issues with sticking right away. And usually the Ultra Base is very, very good for me. And I've done some reading, and evidently, if you go above 70% isopropyl alcohol, you can have issues with it screwing with the adhesion properties of the bed. So I've dropped down to 70% isopropyl alcohol, scrubbed it real good, and it seems to be adhering okay for now. So hopefully that fixes it. But I will be reporting back if I have any issues in the future. So we'll be doing a lot of printing on this printer. You'll be getting some additional feedback over time for sure. So if you found this video interesting, please give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time visiting the channel, please think about subscribing. If you're going to subscribe, you can hit that notify bell, which is over here somewhere, or over here, one of those two sides. Feel free to leave your comments, suggestions, ideas, and feedback about the AnyCubic X. What do you think about it? It's going to be interesting. I have to tell you that, you know, I'm not used to having a printer that's this loud. You know, the stepper motors in my Prusa's are near silent. This has updated drivers, the Ender 3, so this is very quiet. My CR10S Pro is very quiet. So the AnyCubic X definitely has established itself as the noisiest printer in my collection. But as long as it prints okay, I can deal with a little more. So we'll see. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Until next time, Duffman out.